students, welcome back to my lesson. I'm teacher Kiran from SMJK Sin Min. And how are you feeling? Okay, all my Form 5 students, are you geared up to know more about Part 3, Writing Paper 2? The last sharing that I shared with you was on Part 1 and Part 2 of the writing, SPM writing paper, okay? So today's sharing will be on Part 3, okay? Right. Make sure you have your notes with you and your download textbook, okay? Yeah? So Part 3, these are what we are going to focus on today's lesson. Okay, pupils will be able to learn the assessment skill for Part 3. You're going to study sample questions for Part 3, read some sample answers, know how to score, and know how to avoid losing marks. Okay, so as I've gone through this in the previous video that I shared, I'm going to go through it once again so that you can recall what I've shared. Okay. But remember, this is for B2 level, which is the highest level out of the 3 parts. Part 1 is just email A2, Part 2 is B1 level, and this one is Part 3 is B2 level. Okay, so remember to respond to all the question requirement for your content marks. Okay, remember I told you before, for B1 level and B2 level, you cannot just merely mention the content. You need to also elaborate a little bit, explain a bit. Okay? Right. CA is your tone, appropriate tone usage, formal or informal. For B2 level, it should be formal level. Okay? And your ideas should hold the reader's attention. Correct format, correct genre, quality of ideas, maturity. Okay? Organization includes paragraphing, linkers, such as and, but, so, because, and cohesive devices such as furthermore, moreover, additionally. You should have all these in your essays. Okay? But for stories, a little bit different when you add linkers. You shouldn't be putting a lot of this. These are all for factual-based essays. For stories, I will share with you later. You will know what kind of linkers you should use for stories. Okay? So like linkers or cohesive devices should be appropriately used. Alright, effectively used. Okay, language includes vocab, grammar, structures, the spelling. Okay? Now B2 level, don't make spelling errors. Be very careful. Okay, let's go to the content. So we look at the fulfillment of the requirement, task requirement, whether you have understood the question, you have answered to the question well. For example, if you need to share a book review, okay, so make sure all the content needed for sharing of a book review, they are there. Okay, if you're supposed to write a story beginning with a line, make sure you follow accordingly. So that's the requirement needed. Okay, right. A score of 5 requires all content is relevant to the task and that target reader is fully informed. That means you respond to the questions fully. Highlight the question requirement, what the question wants you to do. Okay, so in this section, in this part 3, there are 3 essays, 3 questions. You have to choose one. Okay, remember that. So how do you get low scores? You get low scores if you misinterpret the task requirement. That means you did not respond to the question correctly, or you missed out some points, so you get low marks. And like what I've shared with you for part 2, part 3 is also the same. Don't just merely mention the content point. That means you don't just take from the question and put them in the essay, but you never explain, so you don't get your marks. Okay, yeah, remember that. So for communicative achievement, involve the appropriateness and the correct format of your essay to register the function. For example, if you're writing an article, make sure it's like an article. If you're writing a story, make sure it's like a story. When I read a story, I know how to differentiate a story and an article. They are different. They start differently as well. Okay, same goes to review and report writing. All right. The tone and the language that you use comes under CA. whether it's formal or friendly or informal. Now for part 3, as is, there are no informal, they are all mostly formal or semi-formal. Okay, the genre, the tone, according to the type of question you have chosen. Just one. Okay, 200 to 250 words. It's longer, so you need longer time for this. So the first two parts, don't spend too much time. Okay, remember all three carry 20 marks each. Okay, so we make sure this essay for part 3, you are able to hold the target reader's attention. If you are writing about a review of a book, okay, look at the quality of your text. How much concrete ideas or mature ideas you are sharing. So is it interesting? So the ideas should have a maturity. Okay, should show the readers how well you know your topic. So through your reading, we have to read more. You have to know more about the topic. Okay, so all communicative purposes are achieved here, meaning that if you are sharing a review, that means the tone, the language, the choice of words are related to how a review should be shared. Okay, and same goes to storytelling. How do you start the story? So it should be very clear. If it's an article, there should be some comparisons, okay, or report, right? So the communication should be at ease. That means when you share your ideas, there shouldn't be hiccups. Hiccups means like stops and pauses where readers have to stop to think whether is this the right point or what is this writer, what is this student writing. So it shouldn't be like that. It should be very good flow of ideas. Okay, so communicative achievement is the sharing of ideas, the appropriate tone and language.
Okay, well, let's look at this example. It's a restaurant review, so there are two scripts. Now let's look at the CA. Which one fulfills the CA criteria? Okay, so script A, the air-conditioned restaurant serves a variety of Western food. My favorite is their grilled chicken with black pepper sauce. Yum yum. The chicken is so tender and the sauce is just nice, not spicy. The price is also very reasonable. Okay, so that is script A. Script B, on a cold windy day, Jane and I dined in at a new restaurant in town. It served a plethora of delicious Western cuisines. Jane ordered her favorite grilled chicken with black pepper sauce, while I ordered a medium-sized pepperoni pizza. We were extremely famished. Okay, both are talking about restaurant. Both are talking about food. But you can see this is on a restaurant review. So which script fulfills the communicative achievement correctly? That means uses the correct genre or the register. Which one? A or B? Which one is a review? Is A review or is B a review? Okay, A is the answer. A sounds like a review. B sounds like a story. On a cold, windy day, that already tells you that it's a story. You are going to share something. You are going to share your experience. Okay? Right. So here, this is where communicative achievement comes in. So this is what CA is all about. Okay? Yeah. Clear? Okay. This is your delivery of ideas. The way you share your ideas. Okay, organization is how the text is put together, the coherence, the linking, how do you link your ideas, okay? The linkers used appropriately, do they have good effects? Remember what I've shared earlier on a few days back, okay? So how much variety are there in your devices? There should be more here. You should show more ability to use devices here, okay? And linking words, paragraphing, accurate punctuation. Okay, right. So for vocabulary, for language, vocabulary is one of the criteria. You have to show good choice of words and phrases, effectively used. So here you should use more of the uncommon lexis. That means new words. words that not everybody uses. Okay, for example, here, it was a cold day, the sky was dark. Okay, you can see two adjectives used here, cold and dark. Okay, good. But you should write better to get higher marks for language. It was a cold, windy day. We added something cold and windy. The sky was extremely dark. So you are showing that it's not just dark, but it's very dark, extremely dark. Okay. And the third one, it was a cold, windy day. The sky was pitch dark. The swish of the wind could be heard through the window panes. Very descriptive, very clear. You can picture it in your mind. You can feel it. Okay, so the third one is the best. Pitch dark is really, really dark. Very dark. Okay. So the choice of word shows that this student is really good and strong in his or her language. Okay, for grammar also, you should avoid basic errors. Okay, structures should be varied, simple, compound, complex. Use some passive voice, active voice, put some direct speech inside dialogues, especially for stories. Only for stories you can add dialogues. Don't add dialogues for reviews. Don't add dialogues for article or report. Okay? Check your spelling, your punctuation. Look at this example. Help me, someone. Dina screamed in fear. She was almost breathless in the dark, stuffy room. So look, this direct speech is used here, and very good use of adjectives, okay? And they're very effectively used. You can share, you can feel her experience actually. You can know that she's in fear, scared. Something is scaring her. What? Maybe the dark, stuffy room. Maybe she's all alone. She's almost breathless. That means the room has no air. Okay? Less ventilation. Okay. So it's good that you can use some direct speech for your writing, but don't overuse. Okay? Then it becomes a telephone conversation. Okay, errors can impede communication. So meaning here you cannot understand what the student or what the candidate has written. Meaning can still be determined. Here means after reading a few times you can understand. Okay, impede communication means disturbs the communication. That means you read but you cannot understand. Then you get very low marks. Okay, low marks if errors impede communication. You can even get 0. If the whole essay cannot be understood, you can get 0 for language. And when you get 0 for language, it will also affect the other criteria. The communicative achievement, that means the ideas are not clear, people cannot understand, so it affects all the rest. Okay? Right, so part 3, like I said just now, these are the 4 commonly tested format, I would say, but I'm not so sure because you students are the first batch sitting for this SPM, CEFR SPM format. Okay, but looking at workbooks and all that, even in our download textbook, these are the 4 formats. Okay, however, do have a look at letter writing as well, formal letter and informal, just in case. Tell your teachers that. Okay, right. So here we're going to focus on article writing, review, report, and story. So out of this, 3 will be asked in part 3. You choose 1. Can you remember what's the number of words here for word limit for part 3? 200 to 250 words. Okay, so the level is B2 level. Topics are all from the theme, the 4 main themes given in the syllabus, which are people and culture, health and environment, consumerism, and science and technology. Okay, topics are all from your textbook, even the Form 4 textbooks, about food, blast, and download. They're all the same, almost the same topics. Okay, so remember to read the questions and highlight. Okay, and once you read the question, you must know what are you going to write. Are you going to write an article? Are you going to write a review? Are you going to write a report or a story? You should know the correct way of writing already, the format. Okay, how are you going to share the ideas? Can you put a Can you put dialogues inside the review? You have to know all that. Okay, that comes under CA. And the O is where you have the paragraphs, linkers, and cohesive devices well used. Separate them. The paragraphs, the ideas are separated. Even if the paragraphs are short, it's fine. At least the ideas are in separate paragraphs, very systematically arranged. So you have organized your essay very well. Okay, easy for the marker to read and give you marks. Don't make it difficult for the marker. Okay, don't write all in one paragraph. So difficult, must find where is the ideas. Okay, so you put them in paragraphs. And L is your language. Okay, grammar, vocab, structure, spelling. Okay, let's look at this one example on article writing. Okay, you notice, you see this notice on board outside the school library. Articles wanted, my school canteen. What other types of food would you like to be served? What special facilities should your canteen have? How can you improve your canteen? Okay, write us an article answering these questions. The best article will be displayed on the school magazine. So you know it will be published in the school magazine. So the audience would be people from the school. If the magazine is sold outside, then perhaps people outside as well. So it's talking about your canteen. So what I've underlined are those requirements for your content. Okay, let's look at another one. This is on page 144. Can you all look at page 144 of your download textbook? Okay, so you see this announcement in an English language magazine for teenagers. My favorite way to communicate. How do you prefer to communicate with your friends? Face-to-face? SMS? Chatting on the computer? Write an article about your favorite way to talk to your friends, explaining why you prefer that or prefer it. So the best articles will be published in next month's magazine. So what I've highlighted are the content requirement. Okay, which one you prefer when you want to communicate? Can you all tell me which one you all prefer? You all prefer text message? Do you all prefer Facebook, communicate through Messenger, or WhatsApp, or Telegram, or WeChat? Or would you like to communicate face to face? Virtually or in reality? Which one you like? Right now, all of us are at home. We have no choice, right? We have to use virtual. So you explain your favorite way to talk to your friends and why. Okay, so it's written that favorite way means you have to choose only one. So read the question, study the question carefully. Okay, right, let's go on. So there is an example given, the sample here, but I would just like to tell all of you, the sample here is only 140 to 190 words limit. You are supposed to write slightly more, okay, 200 to 250 words. That means you give extra ideas or extra elaboration, just to be on the safe side, okay? Right. So let's look at the sample answer given on page 145. Okay, I will read and explain to you. Would you tell your friend a secret on Facebook or wait until you meet them? You see how the student has started the article with a question. That's amazing, actually. It's different. It's unique. Okay? Rather than writing, everybody likes to communicate with friends. I like to communicate with friends. I prefer to use Facebook, what. It's so normal. Try to start something. Try to start your articles differently. Make a change. So you impress the marker, impress the readers. They want to read more. Okay, let's go on. Personally, I prefer seeing my friend's face and hearing their voice when we talk. So she has chosen face-to-face communication. The most important thing about being together is that the conversation is spontaneous. Spontaneous means it comes automatically, freely. If somebody says, "Hi, how are you?" you straight away answer, "I am fine, I'm fine. How are you?" See, direct. Whereas when you write in chats or messages or emails, you have to wait for the reply after a few minutes or a few hours maybe. Okay? And then you look at the elaboration. So the point is stated here that she likes face-to-face because conversation is spontaneous. Straight away you get your reply. Okay? And then she adds the elaboration. E here stands for elaboration. If you send someone a text, you are forced to sit on your own, waiting for them to think of and write their reply. This is not a proper, lively conversation for me. So maybe you can write a bit more on this, giving it an example. Okay, right. Let's look at the second paragraph. Apart from that, so you can see the cohesive device here. What about those feelings that you can't communicate with words? So this is the next point. She has stated that there are times where you cannot express your feelings through words. It's not easy, you know. Especially when you want to express your sadness or you want to express your love to someone. Would you prefer writing down or typing down, or would you prefer sharing it verbally? Okay? If you are a shy type, then it's better to use text. But if you really want the person to understand you best, is face to face. Okay, let's go on. So the elaboration here that she has given, if one of my friends was unhappy, for example. So there's an example here. I would want to be there to give them a hug. Oh, so sweet, right? Okay, you can't do that on a screen, can you? Can you hug someone on screen? Or cannot, can't even touch. Again, right. So here, you look, the point given, very strong point, very mature point, very realistic. You can understand her point very well. Okay, go to the next paragraph. Spoken conversations also give you a better chance of keeping your personal life private. So this is the third reason why she wants face-to-face, why she prefers face-to-face communication. Texting is fine for making arrangement or gossiping, but if you write down your personal thoughts and feelings, they could easily be read by other people, which is true. If you want to share something private about yourself, a secret, would you type and share it to someone? Would you trust the person 100%? Maybe the person might show it to somebody else. So this is what she means. Okay? So very strong elaboration, very clear example. It's just that you need to expand a little bit more. Okay? So the last part perhaps, the last part. So if you really want to talk to me, come on over. Let's have a proper chat face to face. So it's very short and sweet ending. Very nice, on point. Okay, the paragraph topics are all highlighted in blue. Okay, the one that are in orange are the linkers. Okay, and you can see the one in green is her point, which one she chooses. Okay, and you can see all the brackets there are the examples and elaborations. Very nicely, very sweetly, and straight to the point written. Look at the use of tenses for article writing. What tense do you use? Can you see what tense is used here? It is about sharing of your opinion, right? So when you share your opinion, you share using present, not past tense. Unless you want to share an experience that you have undergone. Okay, let's go on now. So there's another question here. My favorite way to eat. It's on the same page, 145. Where do you prefer to eat? At home, at a restaurant, or somewhere else? Write an article about your favorite type of place to eat, explaining why you prefer it. So, your favorite type of place. How many places should you mention now? Your favorite type of place? One place. So choose one place. Where do you prefer to eat? At home? The restaurant? Where? In your car? In school? In the school canteen? Okay, so you have to choose one and give reasons. Okay, and explain why you prefer it. So perhaps like just now the example given, so you look at the plan at the bottom there. It's written there 140 to 190 words, but Part 3, you should write 200 to 250 words. Slightly more, maybe give more examples. Okay? So you need to get your reader's attention, state your preference. How to get the reader's attention for your introduction? Just now we saw an example. Perhaps you start with a question. Okay? Right. Then paragraphs 2 to 4, you explain your reasons. So paragraph 2, one reason and elaboration, example. Paragraph 3, one reason, examples and elaboration. And paragraph 4, also the same thing. Another reason plus elaborations and examples. And finally, the last paragraph, which is paragraph 5, is your conclusion. Okay, restate your preference in a new or amusing, funny way or something like that. Okay, with a bang, and it with a bang. So people read, oh, that's very nice. Okay, so remember the tenses, choice of words, maturity are in your ideas. Okay, all these are wanted in B2 level. So this one maybe you can write, get your teachers to get you to write, or you write and get your teachers to check for you. Okay. This is on the second type of essay for part 3, a review writing. Okay, reviews wanted. Everyone loves a good film with a bucket of popcorn. We love that, right? Watched any movies, good movies lately? Send us a review of a movie you love most. Tell us what you enjoyed about the movie. Would you recommend it? Give your reasons. S. So more than one. So you need to share a movie that you loved most, what you enjoyed a lot about the movie, was it the characters, or was it the climax, was it the ending? Okay, what did you do? Was it the action? Okay, remember review writing I've shared once in one of my videos. Okay, please go to SSTP Kedah. You can find that video on movie review writing. Very good. So perhaps from there you will know better on how to write a movie review. Okay, check SSTP Kedah. I've taught you on this. Okay, so would you recommend or not? So be very strong in this part. Don't be in the borderline. I think I will recommend, but sometimes I feel you shouldn't watch. So you confuse people. So make sure your stand is clear. All right, and you give your reasons. So you can find more on review writing on page 118 and 119 of your download textbook. Now let's go to those pages. So remember, in review writing, you need to have an introduction, content, the favorite scene, favorite character, and what are the ratings you would give for the movie would you recommend? So go and watch that video that I've shared before. I think somewhere last month. Okay? Right. So let's look at page 188. So this is a review writing, not on a movie. Okay, let's read the instruction. Very important, students. Make it a point to read the instructions carefully. Okay, read this writing task and underline 4 things. 4 things you must include in your review. Will you have to describe your own experiences on the holiday as well as give a general description? Okay. You see an advert in an international travel magazine. Reviews wanted. Holidays for teenagers. We want reviews of holidays designed for teenagers. So this one is review for a holiday. Your review should include information about the place, the food, and what activities there are. Would you recommend this holiday to other people your age? The best reviews will be published in our magazine. So if you were to choose a holiday place for this review writing, look, you need to find a place that you are familiar with. That means you know the place very well. You have been there. Okay? So here you have to choose, you have to write about the place, okay, the food, activities is plural, so maybe more than one. Okay, and finally you have to mention that would you recommend it or not for people your age. Okay, yeah, let's look at the sample on page 118. Okay, Teen Village, a place to go. So you can put a title if you want. Even if you don't have a title, it's fine. Okay, Would you enjoy staying in a beautiful place with lots of exciting things to do? If so, Teen Village in southern Spain is the perfect holiday destination for you. So it started also with a question, very personally, it's like somebody asking you directly. So it's very good. It gives a good impact. Okay? Situated next to a lovely sand beach, the hotel is a circle of comfortable wooden bungalows. Okay, in the center there is a campfire area where meals are grilled every evening. When I was there, most of the guests relaxed around the fire until late, chatting and playing guitars. This can be annoying sometimes if you want an early night. Means if you want to sleep early, then we are still chatting and playing guitar. It's kind of like noisy. Huh? So, okay. So, the evening meals are simple, mainly meat or delicious fresh fish served with a wide variety of salads. However, the hotel also has a cafe that serves huge cooked breakfasts and other snacks to keep you going all day. During my stay, most people chose from a daily program of extreme sports lessons such as hang gliding and sand sailing. We spent a wonderful morning scuba diving around an old shipwreck in the bay. I wouldn't recommend Teen Village to couch potatoes. Now, what are couch potatoes? Who are the people that we call couch potatoes? Those who love to just sit at home and do nothing, just watch TV, they are the couch potatoes. That means they are not the active type. Okay, they prefer to just sit and laze around at home, not the going out type of a person. Okay, but if you are an energetic party animal, oh, the wild type, okay, then this is the best place for you. So you can look at how this student or this person has recommended Teen Village. He or she is recommending Teen Village to those who are energetic party animals, that means teenagers mostly, youngsters, young adults. Okay, right. So look at the grammar, vocab, organization. Look at the ideas, the ideas shared. Do the ideas have some level of maturity? Look, what I've highlighted here in yellow, or like almost like a mustard color highlight, huh? They are the points, the content points. You have spoken about the hotel, you have talked about the meals, the food, you have talked about the activities, and finally you stated your recommendation. Which one would you recommend or not? Okay, and what I have actually highlighted in green are the grammar part, the tenses. Now you notice there are some present tense, there are some past tense. Okay, so when you are sharing it generally, a review generally shared, you use present tense. Okay, but if you want to share your experience because you have stayed in the hotel there before, you want to share your experience, then you use past tense. Okay, na? Like you see here, when I was there. Look at the second paragraph. When I was there, most of the guests relaxed. Past tense. And then the fourth paragraph. During my stay, so you're sharing when you were there. Okay, most people chose. So this is past tense. Okay, but not to worry so much. Even if you use all present tense, it's not, you're not going to lose so much of marks. Okay, but try to be careful with your tenses because usually students tend to make mistakes in tenses. Okay, right. Just look at the use of vocab. Mostly simple, I find, but there are a few good ones. Uncommon lexis. Huh? Look at the second paragraph, the ones underlined in blue. Comfortable wooden bungalows. It explains quite clearly. You will know that the hotels is a circle of comfortable wooden bungalows. That means there are bungalow-like hotels, huh? Like homestays. Okay. Then you see the meals are grilled. Okay, and then if you want an early night, so that is a very, abstract phrase. Okay, that means if you want to sleep early, in other words. So this is quite a high standard phrase, huh? High level, B2 level. Look at the third paragraph, a wide variety of salads to keep you going all day. That is to enough to give you energy. Okay, right. And the fourth paragraph, there are examples given, and the examples are not common examples. The activities are different activities. Okay, hang gliding, sand sailing, okay, scuba diving, around an old shipwreck in the bay. So shows maturity and shows that this person knows the place very well. So that's why when you write a review about a place or a holiday destination or a holiday area or hotel, wherever, you better choose somewhere you know, somewhere you are familiar with, so that you are able to explain them. Okay, right. Let's look at also the organization. They're all organized in paragraphs. Perhaps there should be more cohesive devices here. Okay, so this is just an example in the textbook. When you write, you try to add a few cohesive devices. Okay, and linkers. All right, let's go on. Assessment scale for part 3. Okay, let's look carefully. For 5 parts, content should be relevant, target reader fully informed. It's the same for all parts for the content. Okay, that means you answer to the questions, you answer everything appropriately, you get your marks. But for part 2 and part 3, remember to give some elaboration. Don't just merely mention the points. Give some elaboration. Okay, right. For communicative achievement, communicate with ease. That means no problem in your language. You don't have to think so much. It comes very naturally. When I read, like the essay we just read just now, the review very smooth. Okay, and the use of language, the way the person speaks, it's like very natural. The ideas are very clear. Okay. And it's a review. When you read, you know, oh, okay, this place seems to be a nice place to go for a holiday. Okay, organization is like how you organize your paragraphs and linkers and cohesive devices. So must have generally good effect. Okay, the language, a range of vocabulary, including less common lexemes. To get 5 marks for language, you need to have some good vocabulary there, good phrases, something not commonly used, but they have to be used effectively in the sentence. Okay, and grammar should have a good control. Okay, you should know how to use different types of structures. Okay, there can be errors here and there, but they are considered as slips. That means errors that are done because without you realizing, maybe because you are in a hurry, you are writing, you could be like typo errors. Okay, doesn't mean that you have a few errors here and there. You cannot get 5. It depends on the type of errors. Okay, right. And this is for 3 marks. Whatever comes in between, you get 4. Okay, 3 marks is where you have some minor irrelevances. For example, just now you're supposed to talk about the hotel, the food, the activities. You talk about other things. You never talk about the food. You never talk about the activities. All you did was you talked about the hotel. So there are some irrelevances. There are some omission points. Points are missing. Then you can get 3 marks. Okay, so readers are not fully informed. On the whole, informed but not fully. Okay, communicative achievement, most of the ideas are very straightforward, very concrete, very direct. It's not so much of a description that, so you don't get a really clear picture of the place. Okay, organization, well organized, some cohesive devices there. Okay, and language, range of everyday vocabulary and some uncommon words used. You try to use some new words, but not effectively used. That's where you lose your marks. If you use a good phrase, but you don't know how to use it, you memorize, but you don't know how to use in context, then it can affect the marks for your language. So be very careful when you find words. find them in context, know how to apply, know how to write in sentences. Okay? And for your grammar part, there should be maybe more of simple grammatical forms written, less complex structures, okay? And but must make sure that your errors do not impede the communication. That means candidates or students under this category, 3 marks for your language, even if you have errors, I still can understand your essay clearly, you can get 3 marks. Okay? Now, this is when you get 1 mark or 0. It totally is irrelevant. Okay? Target reader is minimally informed. You hardly answer to the question. Okay? The ideas are not so appropriate, maybe not so clear, and connectors are very simple and very limited. Okay? And vocabulary is so basic, a lot of grammatical errors. Okay, errors are noticeable, but meaning can still be determined. That means it's not impeding reading or not impeding the communication. Meaning is still clear. So even with the errors, there's so many errors, but still I can understand a little bit, you can get 1 mark. But if I totally cannot understand, then you may get 0. So this is B2 level. B2 level is higher, students. So be careful. Okay, so let me explain to you what is simple ideas, straightforward ideas, and complex ideas. Okay, this comes under CA. Okay, so simple ideas, when you mention the grilled chicken is delicious, very simple. Straightforward is a grilled chicken. The delicious grilled chicken is superb for dinner on a rainy day. So it's very concrete. You can understand. Complex ideas are using a lot of abstract. You need to think. It's quite high standard. Okay, the first bite of the delicious grilled chicken will leave you speechless. So, meaning that it's really, really delicious that you cannot even say it. So, so delicious. Okay, right. Now, extended. Now, we're going to story, the third one. Okay, so I've touched on article, I've touched on review. Now, I'm touching on story writing. Okay, so your teacher has asked you to write a story for homework. The story must begin with, the nurses wheeled her away into the intensive care unit. Your story should include what happened and how you felt. So, when you write the story, this sentence should be the first sentence, the start of your story. Don't start with anything other than this. Otherwise, you will not fulfill your content marks. Okay? So here you can look at the download page 26, 27. There are some tips on narrative writing. Okay, so this is from page 26. Stories is making it lifelike. Okay, when you tell somebody a story, you want the person to understand the story well, to feel what you feel. Okay, right. Stories contain description, action, and people, characters. Okay, that's some names there. Okay, you can make the reader care more about what happens to your characters by making them come to life and seem real. 2 ways to do this are by writing what they say or think and describing how they feel. So a lot of senses here used. How you feel, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch. Okay? All these are the senses that you will make your story alive. How do you do that? Using your words. Okay? You use good words. Like the example given here. Scream, shouted, sigh. Do you know what is sigh? Sigh means like, when do you sigh? Do you know when you sigh? When you are tired, okay? When you are sad, when you are worried, like, that is sigh, okay? Right, told, whispered. Instead of saying, he spoke softly to his mother, you say he whispered to his mother. So whispered shows that your vocabulary is strong, okay? Adverbs, how did he do that? Okay, he whispered softly. How did he whisper? He whispered softly. So that is adverb, describing the work, the action. Angrily, decisively, excitedly, happily, nervously. Okay? Alright. Look at page 27. There's an example here of a question. You have seen this announcement in an English language magazine. We are looking for stories for our magazine. Your story must begin with this sentence. Anne knocked on the door of the house. She was determined to find out who lived there. Your story must include an old woman and a surprise. So you have to start with that line. Anne knocked on the door of the house. She was determined to find out who lived there. Okay, so here is written 140 to 190 words. But in STM part 3, we want students to write within this word range, 200 to 250 words. Okay, so think about the storyline. Before you write, you make have some ideas. Best is to prepare ideas earlier. You watch movies, you read books, take those ideas, okay, and fit them in your story. Ideas that are very interesting and maybe unique. Don't try to take the same ideas as everyone else, okay? So can you think of one or two different kinds of stories and feelings, the characters' experience? So let's look at the example here. Okay, and knocked on the door. So this is the beginning that you need to write for your essay. Knocked on the door of the house. She was determined to find out who lived there. She had recently moved to from America to the small village and had often admired the house's beautiful rose garden. So here you are sharing sense of visual. Okay, what she has been seeing. That means you know that house has beautiful rose garden. She knocked again nervously. I mean, she's not so comfortable. She's feeling stressed, a little bit tense. Okay, nervously she knocked. Tuck, tuck, tuck. There was still no answer, but a wonderful, sweet smell of cooking was coming from the kitchen. You see, you can smell sweet smell of food. Okay, someone must be there. She thought hopefully. So here she is expressing her thought, okay, in a dialogue form, in a direct speech form. Just then she heard a soft cry. So this is what she heard. Help me, please. She ran to the back of the house and pushed her way through the back door in panic. An old lady was lying on the kitchen floor. I fell over and I think my ankle's broken, she explained weakly. How did she explain weakly? Because she fell, she's in pain, she's cold. Okay? So you can understand what's going on. You can picture the place. You can picture an old lady. Okay, you can picture a young girl. Okay? After calling for an ambulance and comforted her. Comforted means say, relax, don't worry, everything will be fine. That is comforting someone. Okay, as she stroked the old lady's soft white hair. So stroke means to touch the hair. So here is the touch sense. Okay, she was astonished, means like surprised, to see a birthmark on her neck. It was exactly the same shape as hers. Much later, they found out that the old lady was actually her great aunt, Elizabeth. After that, Anne spent many happy evenings in the house listening to old family stories and eating delicious cake. So the story is very simple, very straightforward. Okay? And senses are explained, okay, the feelings, what she saw, what she heard, what she smelled, what she touched. Okay? And so it's very clear, words are used clear. You can see some use of cohesive devices like after that, much later. So these are specially for stories. Okay, these are specially for stories. We don't use firstly, secondly for stories. All right. But what do you think about the storyline or the idea? Is it interesting? Perhaps you should write something like this and make the story interesting. Put a twist in the story. Don't let the readers know the ending so fast. Okay, in the same page, on the same page, you can see some example of words and phrases that you can use for your story. Yeah, time expressions, like you could say the next day. Okay, so these are linkers for your story. Feelings, how would you explain feelings, senses, ways to speak, ways of speaking or thinking, argue, complain, scream, sigh, whisper, like I have to explain. Okay? Right. So when you write stories, these are some tips. I need to share with all of you. Firstly, you need to make sure your story is unique. Have a twist. Make sure it's unpredictable. Students, if your story have a twist, your stories have twist, then the stories are interesting. Don't let the reader or marker read the first paragraph. I know the ending. That means the story is not that unique. Make it different, but make sure the story is logical and mature. Don't write stories about ghosts, aliens. Those are not logical and they do not show maturity. Okay, make sure stories are mature and realistic. Use appropriate tense, perfect, past continuous, like was coming, was going, they were sleeping. Those are past continuous. Vocabulary should be effectively used, like I said just now. Allow readers to picture your stories. Use your words to make them picture your stories. It's like reading and having a movie going on in your mind. That's a perfect story. Okay, use good adjectives, adverbs, verbs. Look at this example here. He walked into the house. We cannot picture the house. Everyone has a different picture of the house. Everyone has a different picture of the person. Okay, feeling nervous, he tiptoed slowly into the shabby house. So it's more clear now. We know the house is shabby. Shabby here means like maybe it's like old, okay, not so neat, okay, maybe not paint, the paint is not so good anymore, okay. So you know this person who's walking in is feeling nervous, right? So that's the adjective there. He tiptoed means walking on your toes. You tiptoe when you don't want people to hear you. Tiptoe, okay, slowly into the shabby house. So tiptoe is a good use of a verb. Slowly is explaining how the work is done. That's an adverb. Okay. So if you want to have more choices of words, good words and see them in sentences, you can go to this website, Word Keeper. It's quite good. Okay. Just need to type there and then the words will appear. So stories can have some dialogues. Okay, so your direct speech or dialogue should be in present tense, but make sure it's not too many. Yeah? A very catchy introduction, start with a dialogue, a flashback, or descriptions. But if they give you the beginning, then you have to use that one. Okay, so a good flow of story is basically like this. It starts with an exposition, means the introduction, the starting. Then you have a rising action going up slowly, and you have a climax. Climax is the best part of the story. Okay, then it goes down, falling action, and finally resolution, the ending. Story must end well. Don't just leave it hanging, abrupt ending. No one. Okay, right. So let's look at an example of a good intro using descriptions. Okay, the sky was pitch dark. The swish of the wind could be heard through the window panes, and I still have 4 hours until my parents got home. So from here, we know maybe this person is alone. The parents are not there. And how's the weather like? Dark, swish of wind, so it's windy. Okay. Slowly, I put my hot cup of coffee on the table. So you can picture it. Huh? As I lay comfortably on the couch, cuddling my soft blanket. Cuddling is hugging. So you know this person is getting very comfortable, okay? And this person is drinking a hot cup of coffee. All right. Using the remote, I dim the lights in my living room, giving the atmosphere a cozy feel. Cozy means comfortable. Okay. So you dim the light means you make the light less bright. So you know that it's at night. Okay, that's why you need the lights on. Okay, then I turned on the TV full blast so I wouldn't hear the rain patter on the roof. So from here you know that it's raining. So it's so clearly explained that you can picture it in your mind, senses, what you can hear, you can feel, okay, soft blanket, all right. Simple yet so effectively used. So this is how you start an intro with a description. So you can also start an intro with a dialogue. Example, you start this paragraph with this paragraph. Intro. Adam, is that you? I asked when I heard a deep voice downstairs. He wasn't supposed to be back so soon. Adam, are you downstairs? No reply. So you are giving some sense of suspense to the reader. Only with 2 lines. So you want to read more. Readers want to read more. What's happening next? That means your story is very catchy, very good. Okay, this is just the introduction. Probably the voice was from the television. The sky was pitch dark and I could hear a swish of the wind through the window pane. Thank God it's a weekend, I thought to myself. So you're telling us, you're sharing feelings that we feel as well. We love weekends because we can rest, we relax, we don't have online classes, correct? Slowly I put my hot cup of coffee on the table as I lay comfortably on the bed cuddling in my soft blanket using the remote I think. So this is the same as the slide. I'm just showing you how you can start with a dialogue and add some suspense. Make sure the following paragraphs follow the flow. Okay, right. So before I'm coming towards the end, there are some points that I need to touch on here. Okay, so for content in the context of part 1's email, even if you get 5 marks for your email, part 2 and part 3, not necessarily you get 5 marks. Okay, so make sure if you were to touch on the points, contents given, you need to provide a rationale. That means you have to provide some elaboration for your points. Okay, look at the example here given. If a candidate fails to provide reasons, for example, they would perhaps score 4 or 3. You touched on the points well, but you didn't elaborate. Okay, so you may not get full marks for your content because the response contains minor omissions. That means you need to have some explanation to support your content points. Okay, part 3 essays should be elaborated maturely. You show your ideas are very mature, high standard. You know about it. Your general knowledge is very good, very wide. Okay, right. And candidates may achieve high marks on one criterion but low marks on another criterion. For example, for content, you might get full marks, but the wrong use of genre, the communicative achievement marks, will be down. Like what I explained earlier, a review, when you write a review like story, then you may get even 1 mark for your communicative achievement. 5 marks for content, but CA is 1. See, it affects. Okay, so be very careful. Read the question well. So these are some frequently asked questions by some students. So I feel I need to share this. Okay. What if I use good vocabulary, but I have many grammatical errors? What should I do? Let's look at this one. Example, in a cold windy day, Jane and I dined at a new restaurant in town. It's serving a plethora of delicious Western cuisines. Jane was ordering her favorite grilled chicken with black pepper sauce, while I am ordering a medium-sized pepperoni pizza. We are extremely famished. So good use of vocabulary, but still many errors in tenses. So how would you get marks? What would you get for your marks for language? So you can see cold windy is explaining a plethora of delicious Western cuisine. All those in green shows the vocabulary is strong. But the underlining in red shows that you have errors in your grammar, especially your tenses, all mixed up. That means generally we look at this essay, we know the student is weak in grammar. Perhaps the student has memorized some good vocabulary to use, but grammar not strong. But we still can understand the essay. Okay, so here you get, look at the language. So here you can get 3 marks. Okay, you have vocabulary, but maybe the uncommon vocabulary or less common lexis inappropriately used. Simple, some complex grammatical forms with good degree control. Errors do not impede communication. Still can understand. Okay, so you might get 3 marks. So remember, students, if you want to have good vocabulary, first you need to have good grammar. Like I always tell my students, okay, before you put on your makeup, you have to wash your face, clear the pimples, and then put on the makeup, you will look beautiful. Right? Rather than putting on the makeup to cover your pimples and all, you will not look so nice. Okay? It's like that, something like that. Okay? Will marks be deducted? This is another question. Will marks be deducted means will be cut if my essay is too short or exceeds the number of words. That is too long. So actually, overlength or underlength scripts, that means very long or very short scripts, not following the word limit is not a criteria. We don't cut marks if your essays are lesser than 200, okay, or more than 250. We don't cut marks. However, an overlength script or a script that is too long may result in irrelevance. If your essay is too long, it might be, points might not be connected to the question anymore. Maybe you are going out of the point already. So be careful, don't write too long. Plus, you don't have much time, students, okay? And sometimes it can be draggy, okay? It can be boring. So don't make sure it's not too long. Okay. Similarly, an underlined script or a short essay may affect the language marks. If the essay is too short, how much can we assess the language? Okay, maybe not enough. Okay, may not communicate effectively. Would affect the score in the relevant subskills. Maybe it's too short. Okay, now I have come across students where time limit was given to write a story. The student can write very well, but the last paragraph is missing because the time is over. I had to collect the script. But I gave the student good marks for language. Why? Because of the time. I don't penalize so much. Maybe from 5, I would give just the 4. I look at it overall. Okay, so it depends on that. We can see if paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, all no grammatical errors, good vocab use, good structures. Just one paragraph is missing, we cannot penalize the student. I don't penalize the student. So I think it should be that way, but I'm not so sure. Maybe 1 mark might be cut, I'm not sure. But you can get 5. I would give up 5. Okay, remember, don't leave from the question. Don't repeat the question unless they give you the sentence where you need to start with that sentence, the story. Okay, so if you write something from the question, that shows that you are not able to write on your own. Okay, right. So here are some tips and notes from download textbook. So these are the pages that you can have a look on, and they have very good writing tips. Please do read. Okay, the last page you have 156. You have all those. Page 80, 180, and 180 to 186. You have all the formats of writing, but we don't give marks for format. For example, if you forget to write the title for article, we don't cut marks. But we look at it overall. Does the article or the essay sound like an article, or sound like a review, or sound like a story? That is different, huh? Okay. Right, so final reminders, read your questions carefully, spend some time for planning and checking. Okay, make sure you divide your time equally, don't write too long, have paragraphs, have linkers, check your essays, don't repeat questions, how to prepare before the exam, how to do well in your writing. Get ideas for stories, keep them in your mind. Spare them in your mind, a few stories that you can actually just pick, so you don't take too long time to think. Okay, and read the vocabulary list. Your vocabulary list, have some good vocabulary and make sure you know how to apply them in sentences. Read the topics in your download textbooks, in your full class textbooks. Read the passages, read the comprehension passages. Okay, read the notes, and that's where you will improve. Practice also. Get your teachers to mark you. Okay, right. So that's all from me today. I hope I've shared enough, and I hope all the tips shared will be useful for all of you when you do your writing tasks or your essays. Okay. Coming up next, other videos, I will try to focus on story writing maybe. Okay, I will try to focus on story writing and report writing. Okay. So please do click on the link at the bottom. You can share your feedback, okay, and perhaps give some suggestions if you feel like I should add on more tips and all that. If you find them very useful enough, please add some feedback, okay. Isikan maklumbalas program di Pautan in the link at the bottom. Okay, so With that, I thank you so much for being with me and have a nice day. Bye.